decided also to actually take off my jacket, seeing the situation is getting out of control. It is reported that following yesterday's intense Politburo meeting, some of the loyalists of retired General Chiwenga within the Zimbabwe Defense Forces decided to go back to the military barracks. And if that's the case, the mind-boggling question is, in Zimbabwe today, who is in control of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces? Because if we are able to answer that question, then it is sealed on whether the 2030 mantra will see the life of the day or it is a dead. It has already been buried, and there is no need for ZANU-PF conference to actually repeat the same issue. Greetings and welcome on your lovely channel, the Tonipani Global News. If you're watching us for the very first time, please do remember to press the red or black subscribe button so that next time when we beam live, guess what? You become the very first one to watch us. So now it has been confirmed, I'm seeing it, it is trending in almost all media platforms that indeed what we have said that yesterday's Politburo meeting, as I keep on saying, that information will be trickling out in bits and pieces. Definitely because of the escalating situation currently prevailing in Zimbabwe. Now the question, I think it's of public concern and it is of public importance to interact with this question on who exactly in Zimbabwe at the moment influences the Zimbabwe Defense Forces. If we are able to come up with that question answer, then everything would be sealed. Is it Chiwenga or is it Emerson Mnangagwa? Now, if indeed it is Emerson Mnangagwa who actually calls the military reserves back to the barracks, is it the president or it is a retired military general? I remember telling some people that in Zimbabwe, this is how I think it works. Whether someone is retired or still in the military, they don't consider seniority based on appointments that are merely made by a sitting head of state during that particular time. But seniority within the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, according to my analysis and how I view it, it is based on who is surviving in Zimbabwe and still the senior, whether retired or still in active duty. And also, I think I've cleared the air in military. Just the term retired does not mean you are outside the military. So retired General Chiwenga, though retired, when in the military world, he is still actually bigger than even the current Zimbabwe Defense Forces commander, that is Valerio Sibanda. He still commands a lot of respect. I think I will give an example with the wife of actually Joyce Mtu, I mean the husband of Joyce Mtu, sorry about that, I've forgotten his name, the one who was actually killed. That man was senior when he was alive. That is why, and he was giving Robert Gabriel Mugabe serious problems. At one point, it is said he was telling him to actually hand over political power because he had military influence to actually influence everybody against Robert Gabriel Mugabe. That is why that man was eliminated, for Robert Gabriel Mugabe to have some degree of peace, and the retired General Chiwenga assumed seniority. So at the moment, as much as Valerio, and it appears the military on its own, it's an independent organization. Of course, the president would be calling himself the commander of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, but the military appears to be on its own league, separately from the politics, from the way I see things. Because if Mnangagwa was in control, there was no way the loyalists of retired General Chiwenga were going to go to the barracks. It's either they were going to rebel outside the barracks, maybe with ammunition, and make threats to those in barracks that this is the way to go. But they went back to the barracks. They went and rejoined the army. On its own, that tells you that retired General Chiwenga has not been weakened, as it has been actually the perception out there, that retired General Chiwenga has been weakened by Emmerson Mnangagwa through eliminating all the generals who were around him. That was a very, very unfortunate statement. Anyone who shared that, I think, was mistaken, especially when it comes to the Zimbabwean politics. The military remains intact, and it is seemingly in support of retired General Chiwenga, from my own analysis. Because who called those retired military, generals to go back to barracks? Because from there is a Politburo meeting, and then all of a sudden the military generals are called back to the barracks. And if it was Mnangagwa, there was supposed to be an official statement actually indicating that. But it shows he is not in. And also, I think I will repeat this and say, to show you that Mnangagwa, when it comes to Chiwenga, he does not treat him like any other person. He takes him very, very seriously. Retired General Chiwenga went to the meeting with a dossier detailing all corrupt elements around Emmerson Mnangagwa, your Wicknell Chivayos, your Budawashe Takureis, and so forth. He went with a dossier. He talked about it. His lieutenants thought that he was powerful, like Love Matuke, trying to be a big guy in front of retired General Chiwenga. And he was humbled when he was reminded, by the way, he was reminded of the day he was born and the date when others were in the liberation struggle. And it was proven that he is a non-entity when it comes to issues of deciding succession. In simple terms, when he was questioned about his age, that was in wisdom trying to show him that this is not the matter of his own league within the Politburo. And the man just, was embarrassed like that. What a shame. So now, if Chiwenga was weak, we would not see Mnangagwa today talking about corruption. He addressed corruption, the exact issue that was actually addressed by retired General Chiwenga. Also calling for an action. We know that he is actually trying to deceive retired General Chiwenga, but retired General Chiwenga is upping his game. He understands who exactly he is dealing with. When it comes to Emmerson Mnangagwa, he can be cunning to other people, but to him he appears to know him, and he is actually on his toes. And also, so he spoke about corruption, and most probably he spoke about 2030 issue. And because that's where Matuke brought in the aspect of retired General Chiwenga being behind those who are against 2030, of which his response to Matuke showed that indeed he is against 2030, and what can he do? Because he's a non-entity when it comes to actually issues of the liberation struggle in Zimbabwe. That is what retired General Chiwenga was projecting. So you saw Emmerson Mnangagwa. He has just thrown his supporters under the bus. And even the likes of Matuke, he has just thrown them under the bus. For the very first time, he is speaking about winning elections in 2028, not this vision 2030 mantra that they have been busy about over the few days. That on its own is an indication of how Chiwenga's presence actually is actually something that Emmerson Mnangagwa cannot stand. If Chiwenga was a walk in the park, they would be now openly campaigning about 2030. Mnangagwa would have endorsed it. Mnangagwa is a darling of 2030. He loves 2030. In fact, he is sponsoring it with his wife. They are responsible for the 2030. I mean, he would be, if there was no one taming him, he would be actually jumping all over. And also, I think what we are witnessing, Blessed Keza gave us the hints. He said it is happening. And I stand to believe, I remember repeating this statement, that word, it is happening, was pregnant. Although the content of the presser was actually silent on what exactly is happening. But he had given us clues back that because they were unpacking what they intend to do. So there is a high possibility they were actually pointing Zikanandas and Mnangagwa to the conference, while they are up to doing something before the conference. And another question will come again: will Mnangagwa be president up to the ZANU-PF conference, which is actually due in some few weeks to come? I think that's a question for another day. When I have gathered breath, we'll maybe come and address it. But in simple terms, to answer the broader question of why I actually did this live broadcast, Chiwenga appears to be powerful, particularly within the politics of Zimbabwe, and he appears to be in control even of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces. He is still calling shots, and let's actually be on the lookout. Something is happening. Obviously, we never knew by this time yesterday what had transpired in the Politburo, and I must say we don't know the latest developments at the moment when it comes also to what transpired the Central Committee meeting. I will be bringing the address of Emmerson Mnangagwa, the audio, shortly. Thank you very much for watching us. If you are watching us for the very first time, please do remember to press the red or black subscribe button so that next time when we beam live, you become the very first one to watch us. You can financially support this channel by pressing the join button and be part of our members who are the heartbeat of this channel. You can equally do so by pressing the thanks button and give us stars. Also, do remember to support my album, which is available on all digital platforms. You search for Hloniphani Ncube, and the title of the album is Uthando Lwakhe Okancube.